Now, one more problem of aging is the loss of, how can I say it in a nice way, the loss of excitement, the loss of having a great time as a couple. Well, we know that sexual attraction decreases with um, aging, and this happens because of a full decrease of our hormonal levels. That hormone related to our sexual attraction, appeal, and obviously the vitality that comes down throughout the years. Well, we found the key amino acids to nourish the sexual glands, or the male and female sexual glands. Important amino acids as arginine. Again, arginine. Arginine is key because we've seen it also in youth elixir as part of a formula, an important part of our youth elixir formula, and we said that it improved flexibility of arteries, and that promotes a better blood irrigation. Well, let me tell you that blood irrigation is an essential ingredient for a healthy sexual life. When there's good irrigation in the body, let me tell it that way. Let me say it that way. When there's good irrigation, there's good sex. And on the other hand, if there is no good blood irrigation, we cannot aspire to have an appropriate sexual life. That's why it is so important the participation of arginine in this product, as well as vitamin, glutamine, tryptophan, and isoleaptina. And besides the combination of amino acids, passion provides with a combination of energizers where it highlights the work larva, royal jelly, guarana, ginseng, maca, and thein. Take note of this. This is a combination of powerful energizers, which does not make the product advisable for people who suffer from hypertension, from high blood pressure. People with hypertension, it's not advisable to provide them with this product because it has a strong combination of energizers, natural energizers, but at the end of the day, they're energizers. And then we have a very important mineral in the product, which is called zinc. Zinc, we could say it this way, is the mineral of fertility. It's the mineral of fertility, which must be present in all nutraceutic formulas focused into improving the libido or fertility of people. So everywhere we see that passion has a formulation which covers all the need of elderly people who want to improve their sexual performance, activity, and libido, right? So let's talk a little bit about royal jelly, which is an energizer. You see, a known fact of nature, which took scientists to study the royal jelly. A worker larva lives up to 45 days. The royal jelly receives that name because its consumption is reserved for the queen bee. That's why it is called royal jelly. This queen bee is, as its name says it, is the leader of the whole amount of larvae. And this nutrition helps the queen bee to live 5 years compared to 45 days that worker larva lives. Scientists demonstrated the energizing capabilities of the royal jelly. It's important for increasing the levels of energy, and this has made it a natural tonic, which is unique in nature. It actually improves the level of energy. It improves the vitality of people and even elderly people. And it is made up by 60% water. Yes, we know it is liquid. We use it here dehydrated, but the other 40% in its makeup, it's got sugars, especially glucose and fructose. We're talking about a product, my dear friends, dedicated to provide energy, and it gives energy to the human body coming from carbohydrates, from sugars. So it's a good news that it has glucose and fructose, and it's also got proteins and it's also got fat. Because in order to extend life, we need vitality. Effectively, it provides with vitamins as vitamin B1 and B5, natural antibiotics, amino acids, Again, arginine. You see, arginine is very present in key processes not only of human health but of nature in general. You're gonna see it appearing in a lot of formulas of fuction because of that reason. Minerals such as iron, calcium, manganese, and potassium. And it's very good for people who are aging, people, elderly people, which or whose level of energy is dropping. Also for athletes and for any people, any person in general who wants to improve their level of energy. Even for people who suffer from stress or also of overwork or work overload. Who is not exposed to work overload? We're all stressed out. We're all saturated. We all suffer from burnout as how or what Americans say. So royal jelly it's important as a nutritional complement or supplement for these people, and even it is known it is an important factor right now that once again it makes it a desirable element in the production of a product as passion. It promotes the production of sexual hormones as estradiol, testosterone, and progesterone. And I want to emphasize in this: it's not that the product has hormones, but its components make it a natural promoter of the production of these hormones, which drop with aging, with years. Now we're talking about one of the several components of a product, several energizers. One important component is guarana. Guarana comes from the Amazon jungle. It receives that name because of Guarani people, which were the Amazon tribes dominated certain regions of the Amazon. Well, Guarani people consumed this seed. Conquerors and evangelizers of these tribes observed that native people consumed this seed and they found an important fact. And it was that when they were going to get married, they consumed guarana, and sometimes they stayed 1 or 2 days hunting without eating, and they suspected that this seed, on one hand, had one component that provided with energy, and on the other hand, components that provide a feeling of fullness. That's why nowadays guarana is considered an important element to control the too much hunger. That's why, because in its composition, it's got items or elements that contribute to that. They control the hunger, and it still is an excellent energizing product. That's why these missioners found that it's got stimulating properties, and it is used as a love herb combined with damiana, which is another kind of Amazon herb, and Schisandra, which was considered as a love herb. That's why we've seen royal jelly, we've seen guarana, and we need to talk about three components that you know in fuction or at fuction. One of them is ginseng. You know that ginseng comes from Korea, from Asia. It is well known by being some kind of energizing root and adaptogenous. It does. It means that it helps me perform normally even when I am subject to high levels of stress. Because I have to tell you that stress is the first factor that reduces sexual activity or desire. Stress is one of those factors that reduces the desire. So if I have an element as ginseng, which allows me a normal performance even under stress, is a good strategy to include it within the formulation. And maca, as Peruvian, I have to talk to it with a lot of pride. And many call it this way. It is called the Peruvian ginseng. Very related also to fertility because it also promotes healthy hormonal levels in women as well as in men. And an important fact which demonstrates its action in human fertility is the following. Maca was considered by the Inca native culture, it was considered as a sacred beverage. It was reserved as jelly, royal jelly was reserved for the queen bees, Maca, its consumption was reserved only for the Inca and its courts and for soldiers, for warriors in times of war. That means normal people, common people could not consume it. It was so sacred for Incas. Only the Inca, the chief of the court, the chief, the courts, and the soldiers, the warriors of times of war. Question for all my American friends, but also for my Latin American friends and for Peruvian friends also, as my friend Erica, which for sure she's watching me. A basic question: how many children did an Inca have? It is estimated that an Inca could get to have, in average, 100 children. 100 children. That's why Maca is called in a slang way the Peruvian Viagra. It is said that the Inca, the chief, could get to have up to 100 children. It had a lot of women available for him, and he could get to have 100 children, except for the Huayna Kappa Inca, who was one of the last Incas. There is a book around called The 500 Children of Huayna Kappa, because there is that story that Huayna Kappa, apparently, there was a lot of peace during his government. He did not have much to do, so um, history experts said that he got to have even 500 children. I want to leave you with that data. And finally, the black tea. Black tea is a powerful antioxidant, but also within the types of teas existing, uh, as you know, you may remember the thermal T3 formula, black tea, red tea, and green tea. It's This is one of the teas that provides with more thein. So here, recapping, we have key amino acids for a good sexual function. Among them, we have arginine. We have five energizers, which I'm going to recap: royal jelly, guarana, ginseng, maca, and black tea, which guarantees success in your couple life, in your private life. But let's talk a little bit more about arginine. Indeed, the discovery of actions of arginine, which I'm going to describe next, received a Nobel Prize. This development, and this gave rise also to the discovery of Viagra. That means Viagra is a molecule. I don't know if you know the story, but it was being studied for something else. In its chemical name, it was being studied for one more thing, for a different thing. But it was found that within its secondary effects, side effects, it improved this mechanism that we're going to see next, and therefore it had the effect that many people desire to have. What happens with arginine? Arginine is an amino acid that's a promoter of a gas inside our arteries, which is called the nitric oxide. And what nitric oxide does is dilating our blood vessels to improve blood flow. Remember that in order to have a good sexual function, there has to be a good flow, and also through the oxide synthetase, as you see it down here, this enzyme takes arginine to become nitric oxide as NO, NO, which as the acronym in English, nitric oxide. And this improves the erective response in men, and it also allows a better lubrication in women, which are essential conditions for a good sexual condition. So this is the mechanism, I repeat myself, which received the Nobel Prize. The explanation of this mechanism received the Nobel Prize, and we have nowadays a 100% natural beverage which can help us improve our sexual life, to give us a better pleasure, better empathy with our couple. It is also known that Arginine modulates excitement in women or excitability. If you go to a specialized store, you're gonna find that they distribute pills of arginine because it is known that it improves the erectile response in men. And in the case of women, it does not only produce a better vaginal lubrication, but besides, it improves the excitability of women. So that's one more reason why it is necessary to consume arginine and to consume passion. But here, I want to highlight something important. Passion is a nutrient. Some people think it is one element that I'm going to consume only at key times or key moments. That if I notice that my sexual power is decreasing, my excitability, my libido is dropping, that's when I need to include the daily consumption of passion as part of my diet to improve that aspect of my physiology. I'm telling you this in 15 years, as what you heard in my presentation, being part of the scientist department at FUXION, many people believe in a wrong way that whenever at a specific event, I'm going to take it as something momentarily. But that's a wrong way of consuming the product. Consumption of passion and the consumption of any product of FUXION has to be continuous throughout time, not at specific times.